Hey guys, my name's Ella from New Dialogue, and I'm hanging out with Rob from Front Row Live.
Congratulations with the new single, Mood Swings. Before we really dive into this new single, I first fell in love with your band when I saw you guys live in 2018 at the Lodge Room, and you guys were Dialogue at the time, and just your live show alone made me want more from your band. So before we really dive in on this new single, talk to me about that evolution of those first few shows to now New Dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, even before that, it's been like a while to me of performing in LA very long, time, almost 11 years. So I think, you know, through all that time and all that grinding as a band, we've come to, really just enjoy being on stage and connecting with people and find that performing live is just the end all, experience for us. Um, but yeah, I mean, I, started writing and performing and trying to put it together when I was 16. And when we put this band together with the group of people that we're in now, um, it was a very long journey. And we when we put Dialogue together, we had already been, a band for a few years. So but we were just on that under a different name at the time. Um, and when we did Dialogue and we started playing shows and kind of like really honing in the sound and what we wanted and how we wanted to perform and connect with people, it kind of just really started to get into a lane that we were really happy with. And when we got signed to Red, which is now Orchard, we had some fun legal issues with the name, and then we kind of just we had to add the word "new" in front of it, just so It's always fun with band names. It's like, oh, okay, dang, that already exists. Cool. All right, we have to switch it up a little bit. So yeah, so then we just made it New Dialogue, and now we're here.
And your evolution from Fake Smile to now, do you feel like it's just been a natural progression for the band as you guys continue to have new experiences, new tours, new exposure, new fans? Or is this something that you guys are still trying to figure out what your lane is as far as your sound goes?
Yeah, I think it's constantly changing in tiny ways, like ways that you can't really sense immediately until a year has passed or 6 months has passed, and you're like, oh wow, okay, so we have kind of shifted our sound a little bit, as it happens naturally with, I feel like, any band or as a person, because you're growing and you're experiencing new things and you're just changing as a person every day in the most minuscule way. And I think that just as an artist, that does reflect the way you write and meeting new people, meeting new producers, other artists that you collaborate with inspire something personally within me, for sure, that affect my sound and the way I write. And I think that's a super positive thing. So I think we'll always be within the alternative pop genre. I think that's home base for us. But yeah, I think there's no doubt that we'll be fine tuning and kind of shifting as time goes. And I think that's what's so exciting about music and bands. Every song and every album that comes out is what are they doing now? And so I like that aspect a lot.
For me personally, as I mentioned, my first experience with the band was a live show. So I got to see the live performance before I got to really listen and pay attention to the music. So now that we've had these crazy, now going on 2 years, where live show aspect was not in the equation, and also being a band in the same studio space was probably wasn't possible either. So what kind of impact did that have on your writing process and your recording process? And how do you feel that impacted Mood Swings, which I feel this song is perfect for the times right now?
Yeah. It was definitely a pretty gnarly learning curve. not being able to be in the studio physically with the band initially, when everything happened, and we were all, it felt like it lasted forever. And um yeah, it was, for me, I didn't have, I was very blessed, and our situation as a band, like, we had a studio, we had a home base, and we were super lucky. We got to go in like every day, and it was super accessible for us. And then unfortunately, when everything happened with um our our manager, producer, like, amazing human being who owns the studio, ended up closing it down. So it kind of, like so many other bands and artists, forced us to, create and adapt at home. And so I had to literally, like, build a home setup from nothing. And I, like, my knowledge on, like, writing and producing, like, on a computer, like, personally, was like slim to none. So it was there were many, many nights and days where I was just like on the verge of, like, throwing something and breaking something, because I was just like, my setup wasn't good enough, or I didn't know how, like, I, didn't spend enough time on YouTube trying to, like, watch uh tutorials on how to do this and that. It was just like, it was definitely a huge learning curve. But all that said, super grateful for my bandmates that just, like, came in and just, like, were on Zoom sessions with me, literally like this, for hours and hours, just, like, literally helping me, like, through Logic, like, step by step, being like, I'm like, why isn't my microphone working? Or why does it sound like this? And Jeff just being like, you just need to click this, click that, like, you're gonna be okay. Like, literally just talking me down. Because I'm just so used to being in the studio where, like, engineers just, like, got it. Like, two clicks and it's good to go. Um, so anyway, it was that whole year and a half to almost, it's almost been 2 years now, of basically just recording at home, has been very intense, but very huge payoff, because we're all super proud of what we've been putting out, because it's all been done completely in house. Um, and so there is definitely, yeah, a lot of pride, um, and just kind of, yeah, just very, like, it was hard, and some bands, I think, already were doing that. So I think a lot of bands were just like, "Oh, this is, like, already what we're doing, so it's super easy." But for us, it was like we had to really relearn how to record at home. Um, so yeah, grateful that we put in the time, for sure.
During that time where you were trying to learn how to be able to record and how to be able to do this on your own, would you say that that kind of impacted your writing process, just because you were trying to focus on this one thing to get it right in order to be able to finish everything else?
Yeah, I mean, there were days where I felt like it was really hindering the process. Those were, like, my really, like, depressed, like, I wish I didn't have to, like, do all this work, because I feel like it's hindering, like, my inspiration and my writing
Mm.
process. And then other days when, like, everything was going really well, and I was like, I felt like I was getting into a rhythm, and, like, I didn't run into a lot of, like, technical problems. I felt very just, like, independent, and obviously, like, some days are good and some days are bad. But I think, overall, it did just have a very positive effect regardless. It made me honestly appreciate people that do just sit in front of a computer and create a song from nothing and can do it all literally in their room. Um, so I think at the end of the day, it was very beneficial, because when I finally did, I think personally, when I finally broke through that, like, I kind of crossed the line eventually where I felt like I was comfortable enough to, like, do it all. I could literally just, like, wake up from my bed in the morning and just, like, take 2 steps and then, like, write a song and, like, record it. And being able to, like, literally just, like, wake up with an idea and then just, like, come to the piano and just, like, play something and then directly record it, even if it just sounds like shit and it's, like, on the piano and a scratch vocal. I was able to just, like, send it to my bassist, and I'd be like, "Hey, can you, like, put some shit on this?" And then he'd, like, send it back, It was just a lot of like back and forth. Our Dropbox like shared file was just like absolute chaos. Um, but it was very rewarding in that way, for sure.
You get this song done, Mood Swings, and you go back into the studio with Charlie Park and Ian Scott and also Mark Jackson. So, what was that collaboration like now that you also have this newfound knowledge of like the recording process?
Yeah. Um, it was very, very cool. In the song with them. They Mark and Ian both are just such a talented duo. And it was the first time we'd actually worked with them ever on the song.
Mm.
And anytime we work with Charlie, he's kind of just been like the father of our project in a way. So we like pretty much owe everything to Charlie, and Dennis, to be honest, both of them. But Mark and Ian are both super talented, and it was an honor working with them on the song. And we honestly we wouldn't have the song without them, and it was pretty exciting. I remember when we came up with the hook, and like the second the hook came into life, where it was just like I think literally the first lyrics of the song that came about was, "I got these mood swings, na, 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 na," and there weren't even lyrics after that, but it was literally just that, and we were all just like, "That's probably a hit song. That has the makings of a hit song," or just like a hook. That's a hook, and it just happened from there. Um, and it actually went through like we like wrote the song out, and we had it pretty much done, and then we like left it for a couple months, and we like didn't go back to it, and then we revisited the song like I want to say like 4 months later, and we were like, okay, we were like, this is really cool, but like I think we need to like completely rewrite the verses and like actually give it like an entirely different feel. So we actually kind of like tore the song down a little bit, like the the skeleton of the song and like the hook of the song was still there, but then we ended up like completely retooling it. So that took a little bit of time, and all of that was done like through, and eventually we got it to a place where we were super happy, and then the whole process from there, mixing and everything happened. But there was definitely a lot of love put into the song and a lot of thought, and yeah, a lot of thought for sure. So proud of what we have, and proud of what came out, because I think it was definitely worth the time put into it for sure.
Now you said you broke the song down 4 or 5 months later, and gave it a new feel, a new vibe.
Mhm.
But what about the identity of the song? Was that something that was apparent from the beginning, or is that something that you guys kind of discovered later on in the recording process?
Initially when we came up with the concept for the song, it was more like it was more geared towards like a relationship. But I think as the song evolved, it kind of seemed to fit more into like less a relationship and more just like uh more it just fit more into the current times that we're in. um and it just sort of, without intending to, I think it just kind of like worked out that way, where we like went through the and we were in the middle of like retooling the song, and I think that definitely influenced the song for sure. And then we were just like, oh wow, yeah. Like I feel like a lot of people felt like the effect of like one day feeling like one person and then another day feeling like another person, or just like the weird dichotomy of just like being within the and like kind of feeling like two different people. And one day waking up okay, and the other day waking up and you're just like the world feels like it's ending and there's no hope whatsoever. So I think we all obviously went through that in some shape or form. So I think, yeah, I think it's interesting how a song can kind of start one way and then end a totally different way. And I think no matter what, it was probably always intended to be this way. It's just like divine timing, or somehow the universe, it worked out that way.
Now, as far as like your vocals, how do you feel you were challenged? I mean, you're comfortable with Charlie because he also did the debut EP with you guys, but Ian and Mark were a brand new fit to the group. So, how do you feel like you got challenged vocally during the recording process? And do you feel like that was something that we can hear more, on upcoming new material?
Yeah, definitely. Um, I think, when you get into the writing process and recording process with producers that you've never worked with before, they're just going to challenge you no matter what because it's like an entirely new dynamic. Um, and like I said with Charlie, we've worked with Charlie and I've worked with Charlie for so long that it's just like it feels like such a well-oiled machine with him, which I like so truly love and appreciate, and it just creates such an awesome space to write because you just feel so comfortable. Um, but there's something really magical about recording and writing with people that you haven't before, because they do. Like Mark and Ian definitely pushed me vocally in ways that I hadn't been pushed yet. Even just like rhythmically, like recording vocals like in a rhythmic way that I'm not normally used to. Like I'm such a like I come from a theater background, so like I'm used to like singing very like um elongated notes, and like I when I write most of the time, like I don't write like I don't know. I feel like I always joke around, like I feel like I just write like such sappy like love songs. Like when I sit down and I write myself, I'm just like it's very like dramatic and very like elongated notes. Um so with Ian and Mark it was cool because a lot of the times like I have a personality where like I tend to doubt myself all the time, all the time, and I'm trying so hard to grow out of that. They did such a great job just like supporting and being like, no, like you can do this, like do like because there was like I remember there was the part in the bridge where it's like super rhythmic, like vocally, and I had to deliver it that way, and I just like I remember at the time I was just like doing it take after take after take, and I was just like, this sounds so dumb. Like I feel like I couldn't get like a vibe across because like I'm not I'm not a rapper. And not that that part was rapping of any sort, but just like super rhythmic vocal like
Yeah,
delivery is just like
it
not my
changes your
thing.
cadence.
Yeah. And so it took me a little while to execute that. And what came out, I'm super happy about. And it sounds dope, but it definitely was one of those moments where I was like, I don't know, guys. I don't know if this is going to happen.
As you move forward to your sophomore EP, do you see these kinds of cadences kind of living throughout this new material, or do you see more of like the fake smiles type of sound, or maybe a mixture of both?
Um, I mean, probably a mixture of both, but I would say more on the side of like, it's evolving into I think a little more of a uppity and exciting like vibe for sure. I think we're definitely I think comfortable in that zone where it's like moody and the smile vibe, like just like lush vocals and like really pretty like sections of music, um and pop driven. But I think it's exciting when we try new things, like especially a song like Mood Swings. It's exciting to see like what else we could possibly do in that vein. So I think for sure we're leaning towards that, um, and exploring that stuff with our sound for sure.
Amazing. Well, congratulations with Mood Swings, and as I mentioned before, I'm excited that we finally got to do this, and
Yeah.
I can't wait for another new dialogue show. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh man, I'm so excited. I cannot wait. Cannot wait. Just gonna be shouting from the rooftops the second we have a show booked. So cannot wait for that.
Amazing. Well, thank you again for taking the time. Looking forward to doing this again soon.
Thank you so much. It's so nice.